Wait. Wait. Hold on. I need someone to explain to me slowly, with small words, how I went from interviewing for lead software engineer at Blackwell Technologies to standing in a marble foyer the size of my entire apartment building, being handed a feather duster. Let me be clear about my qualifications. I graduated MIT at 23 with degrees in computer science, artificial intelligence, and applied mathematics. Not one degree. 3. My thesis on quantum neural networks made my advisor cry. Actual tears because, and I quote, "This is either genius or witchcraft, and either way, I'm not qualified to grade it." I've published 17 papers. 17. In journals that most people need a PhD just to understand the table of contents. I built an AI system so revolutionary that Silicon Valley venture capitalists offered me blank checks. Blank checks. Just write a number, Miss Lawson. Any number. And right now, I'm being interviewed for a position that involves organizing someone's sock drawer by thread count and color gradient. Miss Lawson, do you have any questions about the position? The HR manager, whose name I've already forgotten because my brain is busy screaming, smiled at me with the kind of patience usually reserved for toddlers who've just discovered their own feet. Yes, I said, my voice impressively steady considering my internal meltdown. Yes, I have several questions. Starting with, what the actual? My phone vibrated. Text from Jamie, Bennett, they moved up my surgery to Friday. Doctor says if we don't have the $350,000 by Thursday midnight, I'm off the donor list. Permanently. The world stopped. My 12-year-old brother. The only family I had left after the accident that killed our parents 3 years ago. The accident that I knew wasn't an accident. The accident that was somehow connected to the company whose building I was currently standing in. Miss Lawson? Are you all right? I looked up. The HR manager was still smiling. The position, I said slowly. Tell me about the salary again. Mr. Blackwell's personal household manager receives $75,000 per month. I blinked. I'm sorry, did you say $75,000? Correct. Plus full medical benefits, housing if needed, and performance bonuses. She slid a folder across the desk. Additionally, if you are not terminated within the first 7 days, you will receive a $500,000 signing bonus. My calculator brain did the math automatically. $75,000 x 12 months equals $900,000 annually. For dusting. Plus $500,000 if I survived a week. Jamie's surgery cost $350,000. What's the catch? I asked. Because there's always a catch with this kind of money. The HR manager's smile became slightly more genuine. Mr. Blackwell is particular about his environment, his routines, his personal space. In the past 14 months, he's employed 43 household managers. The average employment duration is 6.3 days. 43 people in 14 months? 44 if we count the one who quit during the interview when he explained his filing system for office supplies. I should have walked out. Any sane person would have walked out. But I wasn't any person. I was Bennett Lawson, daughter of Dr. Richard Lawson, whose accidental death I would prove was murder. I was Phantom, the AI architect with a $10 million bounty on her head. I was a sister with 72 hours to save her brother's life. And I was completely out of options. Where do I sign? Where are you watching from tonight? Is it raining there too, or is it sunny? Let me know in the comments. If you need to know what happens next, please hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and ring that notification bell so you don't miss what's about to unfold. The hallway leading to Adrian Blackwell's executive suite was longer than my entire college dorm floor. Abstract art that probably cost more than my education lined the walls. Everything smelled like money and intimidation. Then I saw her. A woman in her 30s, mascara streaming down her face, practically ran past me carrying a box of personal items. Are you the new one? She gasped, stopping. The new maid? I prefer household manager, but... Run. She grabbed my arm. I'm serious. Run. That man is a monster. Do you know why he fired me? Do you? I placed his coffee mug 3 centimeters to the left. 3 centimeters. He measured. With a ruler. That seems He has a 173-page manual on how to organize his desk. 173 pages. With footnotes. And appendices. And a glossary. Her voice was rising to hysteria. I have a master's degree in organizational management. I've worked for ambassadors. A Saudi prince. But him? He's impossible. She released my arm and backed away, shaking her head. The money isn't worth it. Nothing is worth working for Adrian Blackwell. Save yourself. Then she was gone, heels clicking frantically toward the elevator. I looked down at the folder in my hands. At my phone with Jamie's text still glowing on the screen. $350,000 by Thursday midnight. Impossible is just a word people use when they're not smart enough to figure it out, I muttered, and pushed open the door to Adrian Blackwell's office. The office was less an office and more a technological cathedral. Floor-to-ceiling windows overlooked the San Francisco skyline. 7 massive monitors curved in an arc across a custom desk, made of what looked like black marble and brushed steel. Code cascaded down the screens in green text, real code, not the Hollywood nonsense. From what I could see in 3 seconds, it was Python with some custom framework, elegant structure, probably working on. Focus, Bennett. A man stood with his back to me, perfectly still, hands in the pockets of trousers that probably cost more than my monthly rent. Tall. Broad shoulders. Dark hair precisely cut. He didn't turn around. Coffee. His voice was deep, cold, utterly devoid of emotion. Dark roast. 185 degrees Fahrenheit. Exactly 8 ounces, measured to the milliliter. The specifications are in Section 3.2 of the manual, subsection B, paragraph 4. You have 4 minutes to prepare it and return. Any questions? Yes, actually. 4 minutes. Starting now. I stared at his back. At the rigid set of his shoulders. At the slight tremor in his right hand that he was clearly trying to hide. Then I saw it. On the corner of his desk, partially hidden behind a monitor, a prescription bottle. I have excellent vision, perfect, actually, and I could read the label from here. Omeprazole. 40 milligrams. Take twice daily. My brain clicked through medical databases I'd memorized in my brief pre-med phase before switching to computer science. Omeprazole. Proton pump inhibitor. At 40 milligrams twice daily? That meant severe gastroesophageal reflux disease. Probably a stomach ulcer. Definitely chronic acid issues exacerbated by stress and coffee at 185 degrees Fahrenheit. Oh, you absolute idiot, I thought. Not about me. About him. You have a stomach ulcer, I said. The man went absolutely still. Then, slowly, so slowly it felt choreographed, he turned around. And oh, Adrian Blackwell was not handsome. Handsome was too simple a word. He had the kind of face that Renaissance painters would have wept to capture. Sharp cheekbones. A jaw that could cut glass. Ice blue eyes that would have been beautiful if they weren't currently looking at me with the warmth of a glacial lake in January. He was also younger than I expected. Maybe early 30s. And despite the cold expression, there were shadows under those eyes. Exhaustion. Pain, carefully hidden. Excuse me. His voice could have frozen nitrogen. Omeprazole, 40 milligrams twice daily. I gestured to the prescription bottle. That dosage indicates severe acid reflux, probably a gastric ulcer. Coffee at 185 degrees will aggravate the condition significantly. The heat increases acid production and delays gastric emptying, you're fired. Which is why I'm making your coffee at 160 degrees Fahrenheit instead, with exactly 2.3 grams of sodium bicarbonate added to neutralize the acidity without altering the flavor profile. The molecular interaction between the bicarbonate ions and the coffee's organic acids will. Did you hear me? You're fired. Create a buffering system that reduces gastric acid secretion by approximately 40% while maintaining the caffeine bioavailability you need for alertness. I smiled at him. Brightly. Innocently. No, I'm not fired. Adrian Blackwell stared at me. His expression hadn't changed, but something flickered behind those ice blue eyes. Surprise? Anger? Interest? And why exactly are you not fired? Because in approximately 30 seconds, you're going to taste the coffee I just described. You're going to realize it doesn't hurt. For the first time in 6 months, your morning coffee isn't going to feel like swallowing broken glass. And then you're going to wonder what else I can fix. I maintained eye contact. Didn't blink. Didn't look away. His eyes narrowed. What's your name? Bennett Lawson, sir. I paused, then added with perfect innocence. Your new household manager who definitely, absolutely, completely doesn't know anything about AI architecture. Or algorithms. Or the phantom framework that destroyed your Apex project 3 years ago. The temperature in the room dropped 10 degrees. You're interesting, Miss Lawson. His voice was soft now. Dangerous. Don't make me regret not firing you immediately. Wouldn't dream of it, Mr. Blackwell. I turned toward the door, then glanced back. Oh, and sir? Section 3.2, subsection B, paragraph 4 has a typo. You wrote milliliter when you meant milliliters, plural. Might want to fix that in the next revision. I left before he could respond, closing the door behind me with a soft click. In the hallway, I pressed my back against the wall and let out a breath I didn't know I'd been holding. Adrian Blackwell was brilliant. Damaged. Dangerous. And if my research was correct, if the files I'd found were accurate, he was connected to my parents' death. I looked at my phone, Jamie's text. The surgery countdown. 71 hours remaining. All right, Mr. Impossible, I whispered. Let's see who breaks first. I made the coffee exactly as I'd described. The kitchen was absurdly high-tech, espresso machine that probably cost more than a car, temperature-controlled everything, a scale accurate to 0.1 grams. Someone had taped a note to the coffee maker. Good luck. You'll need it. Former Maid number 37-inch. I measured everything precisely. Ground the beans to the exact particle size. Heated the water to 160 degrees Fahrenheit. Added the sodium bicarbonate using the precision scale. The chemistry was sound. I'd calculated it while walking to the kitchen. When I returned to Adrian's office, 3 minutes, 47 seconds, well within his deadline, he was back at his computer, typing furiously. Coffee, Mr. Blackwell. Set it on the coaster. Exactly on the coaster. If any part of the cup extends beyond the coaster's edge, you're fired. I placed it down. Perfectly centered. He didn't look at me. Didn't acknowledge me. Just kept typing. I waited. 10 seconds. 20. 30. Finally, without stopping his typing, he reached for the cup. Brought it to his lips. Sipped. His fingers froze on the keyboard. He took another sip. Then a longer one. Then he slowly, very slowly, turned to look at me. How did you know about the ulcer? The prescription bottle. And the way you held your right hand against your stomach when you turned around. Classic pain positioning for gastric distress. And the sodium bicarbonate solution? Basic chemistry. Buffer systems. I read a lot. You read a lot. He repeated it like he was testing the words for truth. What's your educational background, Miss Lawson? Here's where I had to be careful. State school. General studies. Some science courses. All technically true. MIT is a state school. General studies could mean anything, and yes, I took some science courses. Like 30 of them. He took another sip of coffee, his eyes never leaving my face. And you just happen to know the precise molecular interaction between coffee acids and sodium bicarbonate? YouTube, I said with a straight face. Very educational platform. The corner of his mouth twitched. It wasn't a smile. Adrian Blackwell didn't seem capable of smiling, but it was something. Miss Lawson, I'm going to be watching you very carefully. Is that a threat or a promise, Mr. Blackwell? Both. He turned back to his computer, dismissing me. I walked to the door, then paused. Mr. Blackwell? One more thing. What? He didn't turn around. Section 7.3 of your manual, the Home Security Protocols. You have the entry code cycling every 72 hours using a Fibonacci sequence multiplier. But you're using Fn plus Fn1 for the calculation, which creates a predictable pattern after the 23rd iteration. If I were trying to hack your system, which I'm definitely not, I'd exploit that vulnerability. Silence. Then, very quietly, who the hell are you? I smiled at his back. Just your new maid, sir. See you tomorrow. I closed the door and walked down that impossibly long hallway toward the elevator. My phone buzzed. Text from unknown number. Background check cleared. First week's salary deposited to your account. Don't disappoint me. AB. I checked my banking app. $75,000. Just sitting there. The elevator arrived. I stepped in and finally let myself feel it. Hope. Hope that I could save Jamie. Hope that I could uncover the truth about my parents. Hope that maybe, just maybe, Adrian Blackwell wasn't the monster I thought he was. And fear. Fear that I was already in way too deep. Fear that Adrian Blackwell was far more dangerous than I'd anticipated. Fear that when he inevitably discovered I was Phantom, the AI architect who'd destroyed his father's company and was worth $10 million to anyone who turned her in, this fragile thread of hope would snap. The elevator doors closed. Day 1, Bennett, I whispered to my reflection in the polished steel. Only 6 more days until the signing bonus. Only 6 more days until everything falls apart. Don't tell me you haven't subscribed yet. Please hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and ring that notification bell so you don't miss what's about to unfold. On the first night, the Blackwell mansion wasn't a house. It was a statement. 12,000 square feet of glass, steel, and architectural arrogance perched in Pacific Heights with views that made my knees weak. The guest suite they'd assigned me was larger than the entire apartment I'd shared with Jamie before his diagnosis. It was 11:47 p.m. I knew because I'd been watching the clock since 9 p.m. when Adrian left for what his calendar called board strategy session. 3 years of planning had led to this moment. 3 years since the night police officers knocked on my dorm room door with news about a tragic accident. My parents, brilliant researchers, dead when their brakes mysteriously failed on Highway 1. The investigation closed in 48 hours. Mechanical failure. No foul play suspected. But I'd found my father's last email, sent 2 hours before the crash. They're threatening us, Bennett. If anything happens, look into Blackwell Technologies. The Apex project. They stole everything. I'd spent 3 years becoming Phantom. Building an AI framework so revolutionary it made Adrian Blackwell's Apex project look like a high school science fair entry. Destroying it in a very public competition. Making them desperate to find me while I hid in plain sight, working minimum wage jobs, publishing papers under pseudonyms, and gathering evidence. And now I was inside the enemy's fortress. I pulled out my laptop, a custom build that looked like a basic Dell but ran on quantum encryption architecture I'd designed myself. Adrian's home network was impressive. Military-grade firewalls. Adaptive intrusion detection. Honeypot traps every 30 seconds. For most hackers? Impossible. For me? Tuesday. I'd mapped his security during the tour his housekeeper Margaret gave me. Every smart device, every camera, every sensor. The house was essentially one giant computer, and Adrian, obsessive, paranoid Adrian, had coded most of it himself. Which meant patterns, routines, predictabilities. At 11:52 p.m., the exterior security cameras cycled through a 13-second refresh. At 12:03 a.m., the internal motion sensors reset for exactly 4.7 seconds during their diagnostic check. At 11:51 p.m., I slipped out of my room. The house was silent except for the ambient hum of technology. I moved through shadows, counting seconds, timing my movements to the gaps in surveillance. Adrian's private office was on the 3rd floor. Biometric lock, fingerprint, and retinal scan. Impossible for most people. I pulled out a small device the size of a USB drive. 6 months of work, reverse engineering from a partial blueprint I'd found on the dark web. I pressed it against the scanner. Processing. Processing. Click. The door opened. Adrian's private office was even more impressive than his corporate one. The walls were floor-to-ceiling servers, humming with quiet power. 3 workstations, each with multiple monitors. And in the center, a quantum computing array that probably cost more than some country's GDP. Holy shit, I whispered. He built a quantum processor in his house? But I wasn't here for tech envy. I was here for truth. I accessed his central server, bypassing the login with a kernel exploit I discovered in his security architecture. Files upon files appeared. Project folders. financial records, emails. And then I found it, legacy files, RJB, deceased. Richard James Blackwell, Adrian's father. My hands shook as I opened the folder. Email dated 3 years, 2 months ago. From R.J. Blackwell to v.chin@titanindustries.com. Subject: The Lawson Problem. Victoria, Dr. Lawson refuses all buyout offers. More problematic, his daughter is showing signs of following his research path. We need to neutralize this threat before the Apex launch. I've arranged for the mechanical solution we discussed. Make it clean. Make it look accidental. Once they're gone, we'll acquire the research through estate liquidation. Nobody will question a grieving daughter selling her dead parents' work. The world tilted. Victoria Chin, Titan Industries. Adrian's father. They'd murdered my parents for research? I kept reading, tears blurring my vision. More emails. Plans. Payments. And then, email dated 2 years ago. From Adrian Blackwell to FBI Special Agent Marcus Webb. Subject: Evidence Package Number 7. Agent Webb attached is further documentation of my father's criminal activities. Victoria Chin was complicit in at least 3 corporate murders, including Dr. Richard and Dr. Sarah Lawson. I know my testimony as his son complicates prosecution, but I've spent 2 years gathering evidence. He's dead, but Chin isn't. She needs to pay for what they did. I sat back, my mind reeling. Adrian had been investigating his own father? I scrolled through more files. Dozens of emails to the FBI. Financial forensics. Witness statements. Adrian had built an entire case against Victoria Chin and his father's legacy of corporate murder. He wasn't the villain. He'd been trying to expose the villain the entire time. Looking for something? I spun around so fast my chair rolled backward. Adrian stood in the doorway, absolutely motionless. He was still in his suit from the board meeting, but his tie was loose, his jacket gone. Those ice blue eyes were fixed on me with an intensity that made my breath catch. How long had he been standing there? The system. There was a diagnostic error alert, and I thought. You thought you'd hack into my private server and read my confidential files? His voice was eerily calm. Is that what you thought, Miss Lawson? My mind raced through excuses, explanations, desperate lies. Or should I call you by your real name? He stepped into the room, and I saw it then. He wasn't angry. He was amused. The question is, do I call you Phantom? Or do I call you Dr. Lawson's daughter, Bennett Lawson, age 26, MIT triple graduate, author of 17 published papers under 4 different pseudonyms, and the person who's been systematically destroying companies connected to Titan Industries for the past 3 years? My entire body went cold. When? I whispered. When did you know? Your coffee. He moved his desk, poured himself a glass of whiskey from a crystal decanter. The sodium bicarbonate solution. It wasn't just chemistry knowledge. It was the specific application, using buffer systems to modify pH while maintaining bioavailability. That's advanced pharmacological engineering combined with computational molecular modeling. There are maybe 50 people in the world who could calculate that spontaneously. He took a sip, watching me over the rim of his glass. I have files on 47 of them. You weren't on the list. Which meant either you were an unprecedented genius who'd somehow stayed completely off the radar, or, his smile was slight, dangerous, you were a known genius using a false identity. I ran your face through some very illegal facial recognition databases. Found 7 matches to various security footage from tech conferences where Phantom's work was discussed. Always in the background. Always watching. Always wearing those same glasses. He gestured to my face, which are, incidentally, non-prescription lenses. You don't need them. They're part of your disguise. I couldn't move. Couldn't breathe. So I'll ask you again, Bennett Lawson. Adrian set down his glass. What exactly are you looking for in my files? The truth sat between us like a loaded gun. I could run. I could lie. I could try to fight. Or I could do something I hadn't done in 3 years. Trust someone. Proof, I said quietly. Proof that you killed my parents. Proof that you're the monster who destroyed my family. Proof that would let me destroy you the way you destroyed everything I loved. And what did you find instead? That I was wrong. The words hurt coming out. That you've been hunting the same person I've been hunting. That your father was a sociopath who built an empire on theft and murder, Adrian finished. His voice was flat, emotionless. Yes. Welcome to my family legacy. It's why I've spent 2 years trying to dismantle everything he built while keeping the company intact and 3,000 employees employed. He walked to the window, staring out at the San Francisco skyline. You destroyed the Apex project. Good. It was built on stolen research from a dozen murdered scientists, including your father. I was trying to kill it quietly from the inside when you nuked it publicly. Saved me the trouble. Then why? I stood up, my legs shaky. Why are you looking for Phantom? The bounty isn't for arrest. He turned back to me. It's a job offer. $10 million. Full creative control. Unlimited budget. Partnership in building the first ethical AI framework that isn't soaked in blood money. My brain flatlined. You want to hire me? I wanted to hire Phantom. Instead, I got you. His eyes met mine. Which is infinitely better, because now I can also help you destroy Victoria Chen. She's the one who actually orchestrated your parents' murder. My father paid her, but she did the work. And she's still out there, still killing, still building Titan Industries on corpses. He picked up a folder from his desk and held it out to me. So here's my offer, Bennett Lawson. We work together. You help me save my company from the poison my father left behind. I help you get justice for your parents. We take down Victoria Chen. And maybe, just maybe, we build something good out of all this death. I stared at the folder. At him. At the impossible choice. Why should I trust you? Because 3 years ago, you lost everything, Adrian said quietly. 2 years ago, I lost everything. We're both trying to climb out of graves our parents dug. The only question is whether we do it alone or together. I took the folder. Inside were FBI case files, financial records, surveillance photos of Victoria Chen, and, my breath caught, my father's complete research notes, preserved and protected. You saved his work, I whispered. I saved everything I could find before my father's estate was liquidated. I've been holding it, waiting for the day I found you. I looked up at him, this cold, damaged, brilliant man who'd been carrying my father's legacy like a penance. If I say yes, if we do this, I need one thing first. Name it. My brother's surgery. $350,000. By Thursday. Adrian pulled out his phone, typed for 30 seconds, then showed me the screen. Transfer complete. $2 million to Jamie Lawson Medical Fund. Consider it a signing bonus, he said. Now, partner, shall we get to work destroying my ex-fiancé? I started laughing. Couldn't help it. The whole situation was so absurd, so impossible, so... Bennett. Adrian's voice was soft. You should know, Victoria is coming back to San Francisco. Tomorrow. She's going to offer the board her version of the Phantom algorithm. She's going to try to take my company. The laughter died. Then I guess I met his eyes, saw the determination there that matched my own. We'd better make sure she fails. Adrian smiled. Actually smiled. It transformed his entire face. Welcome to Blackwell Technologies, Phantom. Let's change the world. The next morning, I woke up to 17 missed calls from Jamie's hospital and a text that made my heart stop. St. Francis Medical Center. Jamie Lawson successfully moved to top of transplant list. Surgery scheduled for Friday, 6 a.m. Donor match confirmed. $2 million donation processed. Please confirm. I sat up in the massive guest bed, staring at my phone. 24 hours ago, I was sleeping in a chair at the hospital. Now I was in Egyptian cotton sheets that probably cost more than my car, working with the man I'd spent 3 years planning to destroy. My life had become a fever dream. A knock at my door. Miss Lawson. Margaret's kind voice filtered through. Mr. Blackwell requests your presence in his office. He said to tell you, and I quote, bring your laptop and your brain. In that order. I couldn't help but smile. Tell him I'll be down in 10 minutes. Oh, and dear? He's already made coffee. Said something about not trusting me to calculate molecular buffer ratios before sunrise. Definitely a fever dream. Adrian was exactly where I expected him to be, at his desk, surrounded by monitors displaying code, financial reports, and what looked like surveillance footage of a woman in her late 20s stepping off a private jet. Victoria Chin, he said without turning around. Landed at SFO 43 minutes ago. She'll be at Blackwell Technologies by 9 for the emergency board meeting. She called while I was busy last night discovering my new maid is actually my corporate nemesis. I set my laptop down on the conference table. Former nemesis. We're partners now, remember. Are we? He finally turned, and I was struck again by how exhausted he looked. Or are you gathering intel before you disappear and destroy me from a distance? That would be the smart play. If I wanted to destroy you, I'd have done it already. I opened my laptop. I spent 3 hours last night reading your files. All of them. Including the therapy notes about your father's abuse, the investigation into your mother's suicide that you think was murder, and the fact that you've been anonymously funding a dozen nonprofits for families of corporate crime victims. His jaw tightened. You had no right. You read my entire life story before hiring me as your maid. I think we're even. I pulled up a screen. Now, do you want to spend the morning being offended, or do you want to see what I've been building? Adrian stared at me for a long moment. Then he stood, walked to the conference table, and sat down across from me. Show me. I turned my laptop toward him. This is the complete Phantom framework. Not the partial version I used to destroy Apex. The whole thing. Quantum-enabled neural architecture with ethical constraints built into the core code. It can't be weaponized. Can't be used for surveillance without consent. Can't be programmed to deceive. Adrian's eyes widened as he scrolled through the code. Bennett, this is extraordinary. The ethical constraint layer alone, do you understand what this means? This could revolutionize the entire AI industry. That was the plan. Before my parents died, before everything went to hell. I pulled up another window. But here's what Victoria doesn't know. The version she stole from my old servers? It's incomplete. Missing the quantum interface protocols. If she tries to implement it, it'll work for about 6 hours before catastrophically failing and corrupting any system it touches. A slow smile spread across Adrian's face. You booby-trapped your own code. I booby-trapped every backup after my parents were killed. Couldn't risk someone else dying for my work. I met his eyes. But you're not going to let her present it, are you? Because the board might approve it before it fails, and then Blackwell Technologies takes the hit for defective AI. No. Adrian pulled out his phone. I'm going to let her present it. Let the board get excited. Let her think she's won. Adrian. And then you're going to walk into that boardroom and prove she's presenting stolen, corrupted code. His smile turned predatory. You're going to demonstrate the real Phantom framework. Live. In front of the entire board, the press she'll inevitably invite, and the FBI agents I'm going to make sure are in attendance. I felt my own smile growing. You want to destroy her publicly. I want us to destroy her publicly. He stood, pacing now, energy radiating from him. She killed your parents. She's killed others. She's built Titan Industries on murder and theft. And she's about to walk into this building thinking she's won. There's just one problem, I said quietly. She knows I exist. Maybe not that I'm Phantom, but she knows about Bennett Lawson. Your father's emails mentioned me. If she's done even basic research, she'll recognize you the moment she sees you. Adrian stopped pacing. Which means we need to make sure she doesn't see you until the exact moment we want her to. How? Adrian's phone buzzed. He glanced at it, and his expression went carefully blank. She's here. 20 minutes early, because of course she is. Margaret just texted. Victoria's demanding to see me before the board meeting. Do you want me to? Stay here. Watch. He gestured to his monitors. I have cameras in every conference room. See what she does when she thinks she's won. It'll be useful. He headed for the door, then paused. Bennett? Thank you. For trusting me. I know it wasn't easy. We're not there yet, I said honestly. Trust. But we're getting closer. He nodded and left. I pulled up the camera feeds on his monitors, my heart pounding. Time to meet the woman who'd murdered my parents. Victoria Chin was beautiful. I hated that I noticed, but it was impossible not to. Tall, elegant, wearing a burgundy suit that probably cost 5 figures. Her hair was swept up in a perfect chignon, her makeup flawless. She looked like she'd stepped out of a Forbes 30 under 30 spread. She also looked like someone who enjoyed hurting people. Adrian entered the conference room, and Victoria's entire demeanor changed. The cool professional mask melted into something warmer, more intimate. A's. Her voice through the audio feed was honey-sweet. It's been too long. Victoria. Adrian's tone was permafrost. You called an emergency board meeting. This better be important. Oh, it is. She pulled out a tablet, sliding it across the table. I have the Phantom algorithm. The complete framework. Titan Industries acquired it from, let's call them discrete sources. But I'm willing to offer it to Blackwell Technologies. For a price. Adrian didn't touch the tablet. What price? Victoria stood, walked around the table until she was close enough to touch him. Marry me. Merge our companies. Together, we'll dominate the AI industry. Your distribution network, my technology, will be unstoppable. You mean the technology you stole? I mean the technology one acquired. Her smile didn't reach her eyes. Does it really matter how I got it? What matters is that Blackwell Technologies is failing. Your father's scandals destroyed investor confidence. The Apex project failure cost you billions. You're hemorrhaging talent. This, she gestured to the tablet, is your salvation. And if I refuse? Victoria's expression hardened. Then I present it to the board anyway. I happen to know at least 6 board members who'll vote to remove you as CEO if I offer them a better option. Which I will. Marry me or lose everything your family built. My father built it on murder, Adrian said quietly. Maybe it deserves to burn. How noble. Victoria's voice dripped with sarcasm. How absolutely useless. You think you're better than him? You're not. You're just weaker. He understood that power requires sacrifice. That progress requires casualties. Casualties like Dr. Richard Lawson? Adrian's voice was sharp as a blade. Dr. Sarah Lawson? The 17 other researchers whose accidents funded Titan Industries. Victoria went very still. Careful, A's. You're treading on dangerous ground. Am I? Or am I just finally asking the questions I should have asked years ago? He picked up the tablet, glanced at it, then set it back down. This code is incomplete. Corrupted. If you present this to the board, you'll destroy whatever credibility you have left. You're bluffing. Am I? Adrian smiled, and it was terrifying. By all means, present it. Let's see what happens. Victoria's eyes narrowed. You know something. You found something. What is it? Nothing you need to worry about. Adrian headed for the door. See you at the board meeting, Victoria. Should be educational. He left her standing there, fury radiating from every line of her body. On the monitor, I watched Victoria pull out her phone and dial. It's me, she said. We have a problem. Adrian knows something about the code. I need you to run a full diagnostic on the Phantom framework. Now. And find out if there's anyone else working with him. Anyone new in his life. I want names, backgrounds, everything. She paused, listening. I don't care what it costs. If Adrian Blackwell is hiding something, I want to know what it is before that board meeting. She hung up and stood there for a moment, staring at nothing. Then she smiled. It was the smile of a shark scenting blood. All right, A's, she whispered. Let's play. Adrian walked back in, his expression grim. She's investigating. Looking for anyone new in my life. Then we'd better make sure she doesn't find me until we're ready. I stood, closing my laptop. How long until the board meeting? 90 minutes. Then I need to disappear for 90 minutes. Can you stall her? Yes. But Bennett, Adrian crossed to me, and suddenly we were very close. She's dangerous. More dangerous than my father was. He killed for business. She kills because she enjoys it. If she finds out who you are before we're ready, she won't. I met his eyes, saw the genuine worry there. I've been hiding from people like her for 3 years. I can handle 90 more minutes. I know you can handle it. I'm just saying, he paused, seeming to struggle with words. I'm saying be careful. Because I've spent 2 years planning to take her down, and I just found the one person who can actually help me do it. I'd prefer not to lose you on day 2. Something warm unfurled in my chest. Something dangerous. Are you worried about me, Mr. Blackwell? I'm worried about my company, Miss Lawson. But his eyes said something different. Then let's make sure we save it. I grabbed my laptop. I'll be in position by 10:30. Camera D7, correct? The boardroom has a blind spot there. How did you? I'm Phantom, remember? I know everything about your building's security. I headed for the door, then glanced back. Oh, and Adrian? Try not to murder her before I get there. I have questions I need answered first. I'll do my best. His smile was slight, genuine. Good hunting, Bennett. You too. I slipped out of his office and into the hallway, my heart racing. 90 minutes until I faced my parents' murderer. 90 minutes until I either saved Adrian's company or destroyed both our lives. 90 minutes until Victoria Chen learned that the woman she'd tried to destroy had become the ghost that would haunt her. Time to become Phantom one last time. 2 weeks after the board meeting. The board meeting had been spectacular. Victoria presenting the corrupted code. My dramatic entrance with the real framework. The FBI agents stepping forward with arrest warrants. Victoria's face when she realized she'd been played, that image would fuel my dreams for years. But that was 2 weeks ago. 2 weeks since Adrian publicly announced me as Blackwell Technologies' new CTO and strategic partner. 2 weeks since Victoria Chen was arrested on 17 counts of conspiracy to commit murder, corporate espionage, and fraud. 2 weeks since my entire life changed. And now I was standing in Adrian's kitchen at 2 a.m., staring at a pot of burning pasta like it had personally betrayed me. How? I muttered, waving smoke away from the detector. How is it possible to burn water? Technically, you burned the pasta. The water just evaporated. Adrian's voice came from behind me, amused and sleep-rough. I spun around. He was leaning against the doorframe in navy pajama pants and a white t-shirt, hair disheveled, looking more human than I'd ever seen him. Less like an untouchable CEO and more like a person. A very attractive person my traitorous brain was now cataloging in detail. I thought you were asleep, I said, turning off the stove. I was. Until the smoke alarms in my bedroom started alerting me that someone was attempting arson in my kitchen. He walked over, peering into the pot. What were you trying to make? Food. Just food. I haven't eaten since breakfast and I gestured helplessly at the disaster. I can write quantum algorithms in my sleep, but apparently I can't boil pasta. Adrian's lips twitched. Bennett. It's 2 in the morning. Why didn't you just order something? Because I've been ordering takeout for 2 weeks straight, and I felt guilty about the delivery drivers and the carbon footprint, and I stopped, realizing how ridiculous I sounded. And I'm rambling. I do that when I'm hungry. And tired. And slightly traumatized from spending 8 hours in depositions about my parents' murder. The amusement faded from Adrian's expression. The FBI interviews. I forgot those were today. How did it go? They want me to testify. Full trial. Victoria's lawyers are going to crucify me about Phantom, about destroying Apex, about corporate vendetta. I slumped against the counter. It's going to be brutal. Then we'll make sure you're ready. Adrian opened his phone, typed something. But first, you need to eat actual food, not carbonized carbohydrates. Adrian, it's 2 a.m. Everything's closed. I'm not ordering out. He moved to the refrigerator, started pulling out ingredients. I'm cooking. I blinked. You cook. I live alone with severe OCD in a house with a kitchen that cost more than most cars. What did you think I did? Photosynthesize. He set vegetables, chicken, and various bottles on the counter with practiced efficiency. Sit. Talk to me about the depositions. Distract me while I work. I sat on one of the bar stools, watching him move around the kitchen. His movements were precise, economical, everything in its place, every measurement exact. It was mesmerizing. They asked about my relationship with you, I said quietly. If we'd colluded. If the timing of my hiring was suspicious. What did you tell them? The truth. That I took a maid job to investigate my parents' death. That I discovered you were also investigating. That we formed an alliance. I paused. They asked if it was just an alliance. Adrian's hands stilled on the cutting board. What did you say? I said that's a complicated question. I met his eyes across the kitchen. Is it? The silence stretched between us, filled with the sound of sizzling oil and unspoken things. Yes, Adrian finally said. It's complicated. He turned back to cooking, and I felt the moment pass, leaving behind something fragile and uncertain. The board voted today, Adrian said, changing the subject. About your permanent CTO position. It was unanimous. You're officially part of Blackwell Technologies' executive leadership. I heard. Congratulations to me for going from Maid to C-suite in under a month. I tried for levity. That has to be some kind of record. You earned it. The Phantom Framework, Bennett, what you built, it's going to change everything. We've already had inquiries from healthcare systems, financial institutions, government agencies, all wanting ethical AI they can trust. Because I built it to be trustworthy. I watched him plate the food with the same precision he applied to everything. Because my father taught me that technology should serve humanity, not exploit it. Because. My voice broke. Adrian set down the plates and came around the counter. Stood close enough that I could see the flecks of gray in his blue eyes, smell his cologne mixed with cooking spices. Your parents would be proud, he said softly. Of what you've built. Of who you've become. Of how you turned grief into something extraordinary. I turned grief into a weapon. The confession escaped before I could stop it. I became Phantom to destroy people. To hurt them the way I was hurt. That's not extraordinary. That's human. Adrian's hand lifted, hesitated, then gently touched my shoulder. It's human, Bennett. And you didn't destroy innocent people. You destroyed corrupt systems built on exploitation. There's a difference. Is there? Because sometimes I wonder if I'm any better than Victoria. Than your father. If I'm just another person who decided the ends justify the means. You are nothing like them. His voice was fierce now, certain. Nothing. They killed for profit. You fought for justice. They destroyed lives. You're saving them. I looked up at him, at this broken, brilliant man who'd somehow become my ally, my partner, What was he becoming to me? Adrian, A loud crash from upstairs made us both jump. Adrian's expression went from soft to alert in an instant. That came from my bedroom. Stay here. I was already moving toward the stairs. Bennett, wait. But I was already running, adrenaline overriding common sense. Someone was in the house. Someone had gotten past Adrian's supposedly impenetrable security. I burst into Adrian's bedroom and stopped dead. The room was destroyed. Furniture overturned. His clothes shredded. Papers scattered everywhere. And spray-painted across his wall in dripping red letters. Phantom must die, VC. Victoria Chin. From prison. Oh God. Adrian appeared behind me, his face going pale. She has people on the outside. My phone buzzed. Unknown number. I answered, already knowing what I'd hear. Hello, Bennett. Victoria's voice was silk over razors. Did you like my message? Consider it a preview. You took everything from me. My company. My freedom. My future. So now I'm going to take everything from you. Starting with him. The line went dead. Adrian was already on his phone, calling security, the police, his lawyers. His voice was calm, controlled, but I could see his hands shaking. I'd thought we'd won. I'd thought the arrest, the charges, the evidence, I'd thought it was over. But it was just beginning. We're moving you both to a secure location, FBI agent Marcus Webb said, spreading photos across the conference table. Victoria Chin has connections we didn't know about. Hired killers. Corporate espionage networks. She's orchestrating everything from prison. So what? I asked, exhausted from a sleepless night. We just hide? Let her win. We build our case, Webb said. We find her network. We cut off her resources. But in the meantime, you two need protection. No. Adrian's voice was flat. Bennett has her brother in the hospital. I have a company to run. We're not hiding. Mr. Blackwell. We're also not stupid. Adrian pulled up a screen on the conference table display. This is my family's estate in Sonoma. 50 acres, private security, completely isolated. We move there. Work remotely for the next 2 weeks while you dismantle Victoria's network. Webb looked between us. You're suggesting you live together? In an isolated location? With a target on both your backs. I'm suggesting we control the battlefield instead of running from it, Adrian said. Bennett. I thought about Jamie, still recovering from his successful transplant. About the company we were building. About the future Victoria was trying to destroy before it even began. "I'm in," I said. "But I have conditions." "Name them." "Jamie comes with us. Full medical staff on site." And I looked at Adrian. "I need you to teach me everything about your security systems. No more secrets. No more surprises. If we're doing this, we're doing it as actual partners." Something flickered in Adrian's eyes. Respect. Gratitude. Something deeper I wasn't ready to name. Deal. The estate was beautiful. Rolling vineyards, a main house that managed to be both modern and warm, separate guest cottages, and enough technology to make me weep with joy. Jamie was settled in the medical suite, already charming the nurses. Adrian was on a call with the board. And I was standing on the terrace, watching the sunset and trying to process how my life had become a thriller novel. "Bennett." Adrian appeared beside me, 2 glasses of wine in hand. "Thought you might need this." "I don't drink when I'm stressed." I code. But I took the glass anyway. "Then consider it medicinal." He leaned against the railing beside me. "I'm sorry. For dragging you into this. For putting you and Jamie in danger. If I'd known Victoria was this connected." "You'd have what?" "Not exposed her? Let her keep killing people." I shook my head. "We made the right choice, Adrian. It's just harder than we thought it would be. Most right choices are." We stood in silence, watching the sun paint the sky in impossible colors. "Can I ask you something?" I said quietly. "Always." "That night, when we first met, the coffee test, did you really not know who I was? Or were you testing me?" Adrian was quiet for a long moment. "I suspected. From the moment you walked into my office. You moved wrong for a maid, too confident, too observant. You saw everything and filed it away. And then the coffee." He smiled slightly. "Nobody calculates molecular buffer ratios spontaneously unless they're either a genius or insane. Maybe I'm both. Maybe that's why this works." He turned to face me. "Bennett, I need you to understand something. What we're building, the company, the framework, this partnership, it's not just business for me anymore. You're not just my CTO. You're complicated," I whispered, echoing his words from the kitchen. "Yes." His hand found mine on the railing. "Very complicated." I looked down at our intertwined fingers. At this man who'd become my ally, my partner, my friend. Who was becoming something more whether I was ready or not. "We should probably keep it professional," I said, not moving my hand. "Given everything." "Probably. Mixing business with personal feelings is a terrible idea." "Terrible. We'd be idiots to even consider." Adrian kissed me. It wasn't gentle. It wasn't careful. It was 3 weeks of tension and danger and unspoken feelings compressed into a single moment of absolute clarity. When we broke apart, both breathing hard, he rested his forehead against mine. "Still think it's a terrible idea?" he asked. "The worst," I breathed. "Absolutely catastrophic." "Good. Just checking." He kissed me again, and this time I kissed him back. Wine forgotten, sunset forgotten, danger forgotten. Just this moment. Just us. Somewhere in the house, my phone was ringing. Probably Webb with updates. Probably something urgent. It could wait. For once in my life, everything else could wait. 3 days later in Sonoma Estate, exactly at 3:47 a.m. I woke to Adrian's arm across my waist, his breath warm against my neck, and the horrifying certainty that something was wrong. My phone was vibrating silently on the nightstand. 17 missed calls. All from St. Francis Medical Center. My blood turned to ice. I slipped out of bed carefully, not wanting to wake Adrian. He'd barely slept in days, between managing the company remotely and coordinating with the FBI to dismantle Victoria's network. He was running on fumes and stubborn determination. I grabbed my phone and stepped into the hallway, closing the door softly behind me. "This is Bennett Lawson." "Ms. Lawson, this is Dr. Patricia Chin at St. Francis. I'm calling about your brother Jamie." My knees went weak. "What happened? Is he okay?" "He's stable now, but there was an incident. Someone tampered with his 4 medication." Our pharmacy flagged an unusual order for an incompatible drug combination that would have caused, she paused, choosing words carefully, significant complications. You mean it would have killed him? My voice was flat dead. Someone tried to murder my brother. Hospital security is investigating. The order was placed using stolen credentials from one of our night nurses. Ms. Lawson, I strongly recommend transferring Jamie to a more secure facility. Or better yet, bring him to wherever you're currently located. His recovery is going well. He could be transported with proper medical support. I closed my eyes. I'll make arrangements. Thank you for calling. I hung up and stood in the dark hallway, trying to breathe. Victoria had found Jamie. Despite the FBI protection, despite the security, despite everything, she was coming for everyone I loved. Bennett. I turned. Adrian stood in the doorway, shirtless, hair disheveled, concern etched across his features. Jamie? He asked, already knowing. Someone tried to poison him. Hospital stopped it, but my voice cracked. She found him, Adrian. She knows exactly how to hurt me. Adrian crossed to me in 3 strides, pulling me against his chest. We'll bring him here. Full medical team. 24-hour security. She won't get near him. You don't know that. I pulled back, looking up at him. She's gotten past everything else. She got into your house. She has people everywhere. What if bringing Jamie here just makes him a bigger target? What if? My phone buzzed again. Unknown number. I answered on speaker. Hello, Bennett. Victoria's voice filled the hallway. Did you get my message at the hospital? Consider it a demonstration. I can reach anyone. Anywhere. Your brother. Adrian's mother. Those cute nurses who take care of Jamie. Everyone you've ever cared about is now a chess piece in our game. What do you want? Adrian's voice was lethal. Adrian. So nice of you to join us. I want what you took from me. My company. My reputation. My freedom. Since I can't have those back, I'll settle for watching you both suffer. The FBI will. The FBI will what? They can't protect everyone. You can't protect everyone. So here's my offer, Bennett, you leave. Disappear. Take your brother and vanish from Adrian's life. Do that, and I'll leave the rest of them alone. Stay, and I'll systematically destroy everyone in your orbit until you're completely alone. Just like I am. You're not alone, I said quietly. You're in prison. There's a difference. Am I? Because from where I'm sitting, I'm just getting started. You have 24 hours to decide. Leave Adrian or watch everyone you love die. The line went dead. Adrian and I stood in the silence, the weight of Victoria's ultimatum pressing down like a physical force. You're not leaving, Adrian said. Adrian. No. I know what you're thinking. That somehow this is your fault. That leaving will protect people. But it won't. She's a sociopath. She'll hurt people regardless. The only way to stop her is to finish what we started. And if she kills Jamie while we're finishing it? My voice broke. He's 12 years old. He just survived cancer. He deserves to actually live, not die because his sister decided to play hero. Then we move him here. Fort Knox level security. Medical staff who've been background checked to death. He'll be safer here than anywhere else. You don't know that. I know that running never works. Adrian's composure finally cracked. I know because I tried. When my mother died, when I suspected my father had her killed, I ran. Threw myself into the company, kept my head down, pretended I didn't see what he was doing. And you know what? It didn't save anyone. It just let him keep killing. He grabbed my shoulders, not hard, but firm. Grounding. You don't save people by leaving them, Bennett. You save them by standing your ground and fighting back. What if I can't? The whisper escaped before I could stop it. What if I'm not strong enough? What if I choose wrong and Jamie dies and it's my fault? Then it's our fault. Together. Because you're not doing this alone anymore. His eyes bore into mine. I love you. I'm in love with you. I know it's fast and probably insane and definitely inconvenient given the circumstances, but I need you to know that before you make any decisions about leaving. My world tilted. You? What? I love you. He said it like a fact. Like gravity. Like code that couldn't be debugged. I think I started falling the moment you walked into my office and calculated molecular buffer ratios to prove a point. I know I was completely gone when you hacked my security system and then had the audacity to critique my code. And I'm absolutely certain now, standing here while you're trying to martyr yourself to save everyone. Adrian, You don't have to say it back. I'm not asking you to. I'm just asking you to stay. To trust me. To let me protect the people you love because I love you. Tears were streaming down my face now, hot and unstoppable. I'm terrified, I whispered. Good. Terror means you understand the stakes. But Bennett, he wiped my tears with his thumbs. Fear only wins if we let it make our choices for us. I kissed him then. Desperately. Like he was oxygen and I'd been drowning. When we broke apart, I knew what I had to do. Okay, I said. We bring Jamie here. We turn this place into a fortress. And we finish this. Together. Together. Jamie sat in the estate's living room, looking smaller than his 12 years in an oversized hoodie. The medical transport had brought him a Dawn, along with 2 nurses and enough equipment to run a small clinic. He'd been briefed. He understood the danger. And now he was staring at me with an expression that was far too mature for a kid who should be worrying about homework and video games. So basically, Jamie said slowly, there's a crazy rich lady in prison who wants to kill me to punish you for being smart? That's simplified, but essentially yes. Cool. He nodded seriously. So when do I get a bodyguard? Because if I'm in danger anyway, I should at least get the full action movie experience. Despite everything, I laughed. Jamie. Bennett, I'm serious. You spent 3 years keeping me alive through cancer. You worked terrible jobs. You slept in hospital chairs. You never complained. Not once. His voice got quieter. So if you need to fight this lady and you need me to be safe while you do it, then that's what we'll do. But you don't get to feel guilty about it. Deal? I looked at my baby brother, who'd somehow become wise beyond his years through pain and survival, and felt my heart break and heal simultaneously. Deal. Adrian appeared in the doorway. Agent Webb is here. He has news about Victoria's network. We moved to the estate's makeshift war room, a converted library now filled with monitors, security feeds, and FBI equipment. Webb stood at the center, looking grim. We found Victoria's outside coordinator, he said. Marcus Voss. Former intelligence operative. He's been running her operation from a location in Oakland. We have him in custody as of 2 hours ago. That's good, right? I asked. It's a start. But Bennett, Webb pulled up a photo on screen. A young woman, maybe 19, with dark hair and angry eyes. Do you recognize her? My stomach dropped. That's Sarah Chin, Victoria's niece. She was in the background at tech conferences. Always watching. She's also been radicalized. Believes you and Adrian destroyed her aunt's life unjustly. She's been posting on extremist forums about corporate justice and making the guilty pay. Webb's expression was grave. She's young, unpredictable, and completely devoted to Victoria. And as of yesterday, she disappeared. You think she's coming here, Adrian said. I think she's already in the area. We found her car abandoned 10 miles from this estate. She's on foot, which makes her harder to track. And she's smart, computer science background, knows how to avoid surveillance. So we have an angry, devoted teenager with tech skills who wants to kill us, I summarized. Great. That's not terrifying at all. We're increasing security, Webb said. But I need you both to understand this isn't over. Even with Victoria in custody, her influence extends beyond these walls. The best protection is finishing the case. Getting her convicted on charges so severe she'll never see daylight again. That means you both need to survive long enough to testify. How long until trial? Adrian asked. For weeks. Maybe 5. Then we have 5 weeks to stay alive. Adrian looked at me. Think we can manage that? I thought about my brother upstairs, safe for now. About the company we were building. About the future Victoria was trying to burn down. I think we don't have a choice. Adrian found me at midnight, staring at code on my laptop without really seeing it. Can't sleep, he asked, settling beside me on the bed. Thinking about choices. About how every decision we make ripples out in ways we can't predict. I closed the laptop. 3 years ago, I decided to become Phantom. To destroy everyone connected to my parents' death. And now there's a 19-year-old girl out there who wants to kill me because I destroyed her aunt. Her aunt is a murderer. I know. But Sarah doesn't see it that way. To her, I'm the villain. And maybe, I paused, testing the words. Maybe from her perspective, I am. You're not. Adrian took my hand. You're the person who stopped a killer. That's not villainy. That's heroism, even if it doesn't feel like it. Does it ever feel like heroism to you? Exposing your own father? Honestly? No. It feels like survival. Like doing the only thing I could live with. He squeezed my hand. But Bennett, I don't regret it. Not for a second. And you shouldn't either. I leaned against him, feeling the steady rhythm of his heartbeat. I'm glad I didn't leave, I whispered. I'm glad you stayed. We sat in the darkness, two broken people who'd found something whole in each other, and tried not to think about the angry girl stalking through the woods outside. Tried not to think about the trial ahead. Tried not to think about all the ways this could still go wrong. For tonight, we just held each other. And hoped it would be enough. 1 week later, Adrian's private lab, Sonoma Estate. I need to show you something. Adrian's voice pulled me from the quantum encryption algorithm I'd been debugging. It was 11 p.m. Jamie was asleep upstairs under the watchful eye of his medical team, and the estate was locked down tighter than Fort Knox after 3 attempted breaches by Sarah Chen in the past week. We were safe. For now. I looked up from my laptop. Adrian stood in the doorway of his private lab, a converted wine cellar filled with servers, prototype tech, and the kind of equipment most people only saw in science fiction. If this is about the security updates, I already patched the vulnerability in Sector 7. It's not about security. He stepped inside, closing the door behind him. It's about why I really started Blackwell Technologies. The truth I haven't told anyone. Not the board. Not my mother. Not even the FBI. I set down my laptop, giving him my full attention. In the week we'd been essentially under siege, I'd learned Adrian's tells. The way he stood too still when he was nervous. The slight tension in his jaw when he was forcing himself to be vulnerable. This was big. Okay, I said quietly. I'm listening. Adrian walked to the main server bank, pressed his palm against a hidden biometric scanner. A section of the wall slid open, revealing a small room I'd never known existed. Inside was a single terminal, running code I recognized immediately. Oh my God, I breathed. That's your father's original Apex framework. The complete version. Not quite. Adrian's voice was hollow. This is what I rebuilt from fragments after his death. The real Apex framework, the one that would have worked, was never his. It was stolen from 17 different researchers over a decade. Your father's work was just the final piece. He pulled up files, and I saw it. A database of murdered scientists. Patents stolen. Families destroyed. I've spent 2 years trying to identify everyone he killed. Everyone whose work he stole. And I've been quietly returning their intellectual property to their families. Anonymously. Through shell corporations and legal proxies. Adrian's hands were shaking slightly. Bennett, your father's research alone was worth over $200 million. I've been setting up a trust fund for you and Jamie. Once Victoria's trial is over, once everything is settled, it's yours. My mind reeled. 200 million. Is what he stole from your family. From your future. From Jamie's future. Adrian turned to face me. I can't give you back your parents. I can't undo what my father did. But I can give you what was always rightfully yours. I stared at him, this man who carried his father's sins like a physical weight, who'd been trying to make restitution for crimes he didn't commit. Adrian, you didn't have to. Yes, I did. His voice was fierce now. Because every dollar Blackwell Technologies made was built on blood. And I can either accept that and become him, or I can spend the rest of my life trying to balance the scales. I chose the scales. I stood, crossed to him, took his face in my hands. You're nothing like him. Nothing. You understand that, right? Most days. His smile was sad. Some days I look in the mirror and see his eyes looking back. Wonder if the capacity for what he did lives in me too. If I'm one bad decision away from becoming. Stop. I kissed him, soft and certain. You're the man who's been secretly returning stolen research to murdered scientists' families for 2 years. The man who fell in love with the woman trying to destroy him and chose to help her instead. The man who's protecting my brother like he's your own family. That's who you are. I'm also the man who's putting you in danger, Adrian said quietly. Who's made you a target? Who's turned your life into a war zone? No. Victoria did that. Your father did that. You're just the man trying to fix it. I pulled back, meeting his eyes. And I need you to know something too. Something I haven't told you. What? I took a breath, steadying myself. I didn't just become Phantom to destroy your father's company. I became Phantom because I was scared. Terrified. A 19-year-old orphan with a dying brother and no idea how to survive in a world that had just murdered my parents for being brilliant. The confession poured out, 3 years of locked-away truth. I built that framework in a rage. In grief. In absolute terror that I'd lose Jamie too. And when I destroyed Apex, when I made you lose that project, I told myself it was justice. That I was a hero. But Bennett, I wasn't. I was just a scared kid with too much power and not enough wisdom. You were 19, Adrian said softly. I was old enough to know better. Old enough to investigate before I destroyed. I could have found you. Could have discovered you were investigating your own father. Could have my voice broke. I could have been your ally 3 years ago instead of your enemy. We could have taken them down together. Maybe fewer people would have died. Or maybe we both would have died, Adrian said. Bennett, you can't rewrite history. You did what you thought was right with the information you had. So did Sarah Chin, I whispered. That's what keeps me up at night. Knowing that she believes she's the hero. That from her perspective, I'm the monster who destroyed her family. Just like I thought you were. Adrian pulled me close, and I let myself fold into him. The difference, he said against my hair, is that you stopped when you learned the truth. You didn't double down. You didn't keep destroying. You chose to build instead. That's what separates us from them. We stood there in his secret lab, surrounded by the ghosts of murdered scientists and stolen dreams, and I realized something profound. We weren't trying to be heroes. We were just two broken people trying not to break anyone else. I love you, I said. I should have said it before. When you said it to me. But I was scared and I didn't know how and... Bennett. Yeah, I know. His smile was genuine now, warm. I've known since you debugged my code at 2 in the morning just because you were bored. You don't debug someone's recursive function for fun unless you love them. I laughed to spite myself. Is that really your metric? For people like us? Absolutely. I kissed him again, deeper this time, and let myself feel the full weight of what we'd become to each other. Partners. Allies. Lovers. Two damaged people who'd somehow found something undamaged between them. We should tell them, Adrian said when we finally broke apart. The FBI. About the research returns. About the families you've been helping. It strengthens the case against Victoria. Shows premeditation in your father's crimes. It also exposes 2 years of technically illegal financial maneuvering, Adrian countered. Shell corporations, anonymous transfers, falsified documentation. Done in service of returning stolen property to its rightful owners. I pulled out my phone. Adrian, you've been acting like a criminal to do the right thing. That's the definition of a mitigating circumstance. We tell Webb. We give him everything. And we let the legal system decide. You have a lot of faith in the legal system for someone whose parents' murders were dismissed as an accident. I have faith in us, I corrected. In what we're building. In the fact that we're choosing transparency over shadows. Isn't that the whole point? Adrian stared at me for a long moment, then nodded. All right. We tell Webb everything tomorrow. Full disclosure. And tonight. Tonight, I want to show you what I've been working on. He pulled up a new screen, and my breath caught. It was a quantum AI framework, but not mine. Not his. Something new. Something we'd built together without realizing it, our code interweaving over late-night sessions and early-morning debugging marathons. What is this? I breathed. It's what happens when Phantom's ethics meet Blackwell's infrastructure. When your brilliance meets my resources. When two people stop fighting each other and start fighting for something. Adrian's eyes met mine. It's our future, Bennett. If we survive long enough to build it. I studied the architecture, seeing the elegant fusion of our different approaches. My quantum encryption wrapped around his distributed computing. His fail-safes integrated with my ethical constraints. It was beautiful. Revolutionary. Impossible without both of us. We need to name it, I said. I was thinking Phoenix. Adrian pulled me back against his chest, both of us staring at the screen. Rising from the ashes of everything our parents destroyed. Building something new. Phoenix, I tested the word. Yeah, I like that. We stood there, watching our code compile, watching our future take shape in elegant algorithms and revolutionary architecture. Outside, Sarah Chin was somewhere in the darkness, plotting. Victoria was in prison, orchestrating. The trial loomed 3 weeks away. But in this moment, in this lab, we had something they could never touch. Hope. Partnership. Love. And the absolute certainty that whatever came next, we'd face it together. 3 weeks until trial, Adrian said quietly. 3 weeks until we testify. Until we put Victoria away forever. Until Sarah Chin either gives up or we stop her permanently. Adrian's voice was harder now. Webb thinks she'll make her move before trial. Try to eliminate us as witnesses. He's setting a trap. Using us as bait? Essentially. I should have been terrified. Should have argued. But instead, I felt calm settle over me. Then we'd better make sure we're ready, I said. Adrian turned me to face him. Bennett, if something happens. Nothing's going to happen. But if it does, then Jamie gets the trust fund. He gets the research. He gets everything we've built. And he knows his sister loved him enough to fight monsters. I touched Adrian's face. But nothing's going to happen. Because we're smarter than they are. Better prepared. And we have something they never had. What's that? Each other. Adrian kissed me then, and in that kiss was every promise we couldn't speak. Every fear we wouldn't voice. Every desperate hope that maybe, just maybe, love could be armor enough. When we finally returned to the main house, dawn was breaking over the vineyard. Jamie was awake, eating breakfast with his nurses, looking healthier than I'd seen him in months. Agent Webb was in the war room, coordinating with his team. And somewhere out there, Sarah Chin was making her final plans. 3 weeks until trial. 3 weeks until everything came to a head. 3 weeks until we either won everything or lost it all. Ready? Adrian asked, squeezing my hand. I looked at my brother, alive and laughing. At the man I loved, standing beside me. At the future we were building from the ashes of the past. Ready, I said. And meant it. 2 weeks later, 11:43 p.m., Sonoma Estate. The trap was set. Agent Webb's team had spent 14 days creating the perfect scenario, a fake security vulnerability in the estate's eastern perimeter that Sarah Chin would inevitably discover. Bait she couldn't resist. I sat in the security command center, watching thermal imaging cameras track movement in the vineyard. Adrian was beside me, his hand tight around mine, both of us pretending we weren't terrified. She's smart, Webb said, studying the screens. She's been probing defenses for days. Tonight, she'll bite. And when she does? Adrian asked. We take her alive. And this. Webb's radio crackled. Team 2 report. Eastern perimeter clear. No movement. But I saw it. A flicker on camera 7. Just a shadow, but wrong somehow. There, I pointed. She's not going for the eastern perimeter. She's going for the medical wing. Webb's face went pale. Jamie. We were running before anyone could stop us. The hallway was too quiet. The nurses should have been at their station. The security guard should have been at his post. Instead, there was just silence and the smell of something chemical. Sweet. Wrong. Gas, Adrian said, covering his nose. She used some kind of sedative gas. We found the nurses unconscious in the break room. The security guard slumped at his desk. All breathing, but deeply asleep. Jamie's room was empty. On his bed, a laptop. Screen glowing. Message typed in 72-point font. You took my aunt. I'm taking what you love. Come alone to the old winery at midnight, or the kid dies. Just Bennett. Anyone else, and I start mailing him back in pieces. My world collapsed into a single point of absolute terror. No, Adrian was already pulling out his phone. Webb, she has Jamie. She. I grabbed his hand. She said alone. Bennett, you can't seriously. She has my brother. My voice sounded strange to my own ears. Distant. Mechanical. I don't have a choice. We set up a tactical response. Webb's team can. Can what? Storm the building while she has a 12-year-old hostage? She's unstable, Adrian. Radicalized. She'll kill him just to hurt me. Then she'll kill you too. Probably. I was already moving, grabbing a jacket. Which is why you're going to wait exactly 10 minutes after I leave, then send Webb's team. Give me time to talk to her. To get Jamie clear. Then they can do whatever they want. Adrian blocked the door. No. Absolutely not. I'm not letting you walk into a death trap. You don't get to let me do anything. I met his eyes, and I saw him see it. The absolute certainty that I was going with or without his permission. I'm doing this. The only question is whether you help me or get in my way. For 3 heartbeats, we stood there. Then Adrian pulled me against him, kissed me hard and desperate and final. 10 minutes, he said against my lips. Then I'm coming for you. With or without FBI approval. I know. Bennett, his voice cracked. If something happens, tell Jamie I love him. That everything I did was to give him a future. I pulled back. And tell him his sister wasn't a coward. Then I was running into the night. The winery was a ruin. A failed investment from Adrian's father, left to rot. Stone walls crumbling. Windows shattered. The perfect location for something terrible. I approached slowly, hands visible, no weapons. Sarah? I called into the darkness. I'm here. Alone. Just like you asked. Let Jamie go. Lights blazed on, blinding. When my vision cleared, I saw her. Sarah Chin was smaller than her photos suggested. Maybe 5'4", wearing tactical gear that looked borrowed from someone larger. Her dark hair was pulled back severely. Her eyes were red-rimmed, exhausted. And she had Jamie. My brother was tied to a chair, duct tape across his mouth, terror in his eyes, but still conscious. Still breathing. Thank God I breathed. Stay where you are, Sarah commanded, her voice shaking. She held a gun, not pointed at Jamie, but not exactly pointed away either. You don't get to come closer. You don't get to touch him. Okay, I'm staying right here. I raised my hands higher. Sarah, whatever you think I did. I know what you did. Her voice cracked. You destroyed my aunt. She was brilliant. She was going to change the world. And you had her arrested on fake charges because you couldn't compete with her legitimately. Sarah, she killed people. 17 people, including my parents. Lies. Sarah's gun hand wavered. Lies told by jealous competitors. By Adrian Blackwell, who wanted to steal her technology. By the FBI, who are corrupt and. She murdered my mother and father, I said quietly. 3 years ago. I was 19. I watched police officers tell me my parents were dead because Victoria Chin sabotaged their car brakes. Because they had research she wanted. No, you're lying. I have proof. Emails. Financial records. Testimony from the man she hired to cut the brake lines. I took a tiny step forward. Sarah, I know you love your aunt. I know you think she's innocent. But she's not. She's a killer. And she's using your love as a weapon. Shut up. Tears were streaming down Sarah's face now. You don't know her. You don't know what she's been through. Her father abused her. The tech industry discriminated against her. She fought so hard to get where she was, and you destroyed her. I stopped her from killing more people. Another small step. Sarah, I was you. 3 years ago, I was a grieving teenager who wanted revenge. Who wanted someone to pay for what happened. I understand that rage. I've lived in it. Then you understand why I have to do this. Sarah's hand steadied on the gun. Why I have to make you hurt the way you hurt her. If you hurt Jamie, you become her. I was close enough now to see the tears on Sarah's face. You become a person who kills children. Is that who you want to be? Sarah's voice broke. I don't know anymore. I don't know what's right. Everyone says something different. Aunt Victoria says you're evil. You say she's evil. How am I supposed to know? Because deep down, you already know. I took another step. That's why you're crying. That's why your hand is shaking. Because you're not a killer, Sarah. You're a scared kid who lost someone she loved and doesn't know how to make sense of it. I'm not a kid. But her voice was young. So young. You're 19. I was 19 when this started. And I'm telling you, this path only leads to more death. More pain. More people crying at funerals. I was almost to Jamie now. Let him go. Let me help you. We can figure this out together. You don't want to help me. You want to put me in prison. I want to stop you from doing something you can't undo. I reached out slowly, my hand extended. Give me the gun, Sarah. Please. Before this becomes a tragedy nobody can fix. For a moment, one crystalline, impossible moment, I thought she would. Then the door exploded inward. Adrian burst through, followed by FBI agents, everyone shouting, guns drawn, chaos erupting. Sarah's eyes went wide with betrayal. You lied. You brought them. Sarah, wait. She grabbed Jamie, pressed the gun to his temple. Nobody move or I swear to God. Sarah, don't. I lunged forward. Everything happened in slow motion. Sarah's finger tightening on the trigger. Jamie's scream muffled by tape. Adrian yelling my name. And me, throwing myself between the gun and my brother. The shot was deafening. Pain. Bright and hot in my shoulder. Voices shouting. Pressure on my chest. Bennett. Bennett, stay with me. Adrian's face above mine, pale and terrified. Jamie, I managed. Is he? He's safe. He's fine. You jumped in front of, why would you do that? Adrian's hands were pressed to my shoulder, trying to stop bleeding. Why would you do that? He's my brother. It seemed obvious. Simple. I turned my head, saw Sarah on the ground, FBI agents surrounding her. She was sobbing, the gun gone, hands cuffed. I didn't mean, Sarah was saying. I didn't mean to. Then everything went fuzzy. Bennett, look at me. Adrian's voice pulled me back. Stay awake. The ambulance is coming. You're going to be fine. Adrian. I grabbed his shirt with my good hand. I need you to know. Whatever you're about to say, save it for when you're not bleeding out. No. Now. I pulled him closer. I love you. Not because you saved me. Not because you're helping me. But because you're you. Broken and brilliant, and trying so hard to be good even when the world gave you every reason not to be. Bennett. And if I don't make it, you're making it. His voice was fierce, desperate. You're making it because I can't do this without you. I can't build Phoenix without you. I can't fix my father's mistakes without you. I can't, his voice broke. I can't lose you. Not now. Not when I just found you. Then I guess I smiled despite the pain. I'd better stick around. Sirens. Voices. Movement. The world faded to gray, then black, but I held on to one thing. Adrian's hand in mine. Squeezing. Promising. Not yet. Not today. Not ever. I woke up to white walls, beeping machines, and Adrian asleep in a chair beside my bed. He looked terrible. 3 days worth of stubble. Clothes rumpled. Dark circles under his eyes like bruises. You look awful, I croaked. His eyes snapped open. For a moment, he just stared at me. Then he was beside the bed, hands careful on my face, tears streaming down his cheeks. You scared me, he said. You got shot and you scared me, and I swear to God, Bennett, if you ever do something that's stupid again, I'd do it 1,000 times. I caught his hand, brought it to my lips. For Jamie. For you. For anyone I love. I know. That's what terrifies me. He kissed my forehead, my cheeks, my lips. The doctors said you'll make a full recovery. The bullet missed everything vital. You'll need physical therapy, but Jamie is fine. Unharmed. Currently in the pediatric ward charming nurses and demanding to see you every 5 minutes. He thinks you're a superhero now, by the way. And Sarah. Adrian's expression darkened. In FBI custody. They're evaluating her mental state. She'll likely face attempted murder charges, but with significant mitigation given her age and Victoria's manipulation. I want to talk to her. Bennett. I need to. Please. He studied my face, then nodded slowly. When you're stronger. Agent Webb said he'd arrange it. Thank you. I squeezed his hand. The trial. Postponed 2 weeks for your recovery. Victoria's lawyers tried to use your shooting as grounds for mistrial, claimed it proved you were involved in dangerous criminal activity, but the judge shut that down. So we still testify. We still testify. Adrian sat on the edge of my bed, careful not to jostle my wounded shoulder. Bennett, we found something. In Sarah's belongings. Letters from Victoria. Detailed plans for what she'd do after Sarah broke her out of prison. The people they'd kill. The companies they'd destroy. She was planning an escape? With Sarah's help, yes. Which means attempted prison break, conspiracy to commit multiple murders, and about 15 other charges. Adrian's smile was grim. Your getting shot just sealed Victoria's fate. The DA is going for life without parole. Good. I let my eyes close, exhausted. That's good. Rest now, Adrian said softly. I'll be here when you wake up. You need to sleep too. Go home. Shower. You smell like a hospital. Not leaving. His voice was absolute. Not now. Not ever. You're stuck with me. Despite everything, the pain, the fear, the exhaustion, I smiled. Promise? Promise. I drifted off to the sound of his heartbeat, steady and sure. We'd survived. Now we just had to win. Federal Courthouse, San Francisco, 6 weeks later. My shoulder still ached when I raised my right hand to swear the oath. Do you solemnly swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God? I do. I sat in the witness box, acutely aware of every eye in the courtroom. The jury. The press gallery. Agent Webb. Jamie, sitting with Adrian's mother in the back row, looking so much healthier it made my chest tight. And Victoria Chin. She sat at the defense table in an orange jumpsuit that should have diminished her but somehow didn't. Her eyes met mine, cold and hateful, and I saw it, the absolute certainty that even now, even here, she thought she'd win. The prosecutor, a sharp woman named Elena Vasquez, approached with a tablet. Miss Lawson, can you state your current position for the record? Chief Technology Officer of Blackwell Technologies. And primary developer of the Phoenix AI framework. And 6 months ago, what was your position? I was unemployed. Searching for work to pay for my brother's medical treatment. How did you come to work for Adrian Blackwell? Here we go. The truth, all of it, exactly as Webb had coached me. I applied for a software engineering position. But Mr. Blackwell hired me as his household manager instead. A murmur rippled through the courtroom. Victoria's lawyer, a man named Thornton who looked like he'd been born in a three-piece suit, perked up. Why would a Blackwell Technologies CEO hire an MIT graduate as a maid? Vasquez asked. Because I was also known as Phantom. An anonymous AI architect who'd destroyed his father's Apex project 3 years prior. Mr. Blackwell suspected my identity and wanted me close enough to investigate. And did you know his suspicions? No. I took the job because I needed money and because I took a breath, because I believed Blackwell Technologies was connected to my parents' deaths. Vasquez pulled up a photo on the courtroom screens. My parents, young and smiling at a tech conference. Dr. Richard and Dr. Sarah Lawson. Can you tell the court what happened to them? 3 years ago, their car crashed on Highway 1. The police ruled it mechanical failure. But I found evidence it was murder. Corporate sabotage. Someone had cut their brake lines to steal their research. And who did you believe was responsible? Initially, Adrian Blackwell and his father. I forced myself to look at Victoria. I was wrong. It was Victoria Chin, acting on behalf of Richard Blackwell Sr. Victoria's face remained impassive, but her hands clenched on the table. Vasquez pulled up emails. The same ones I'd found in Adrian's office months ago. These are communications between Richard Blackwell and the defendant. Can you read the highlighted section for the jury? My voice was steady. Professional. Dr. Lawson refuses all buyout offers. We need to neutralize this threat before the Apex launch. I've arranged for the mechanical solution we discussed. Make it clean. And what does mechanical solution mean? Sabotaging my parents' car to cause a fatal accident. The courtroom exploded in whispers. The judge gavelled for silence. Vasquez spent the next hour walking me through evidence. Financial transfers from Blackwell Sr. to Victoria's shell companies. Testimony from Marcus Voss, the hired operative who'd cut the brake lines. Phone records placing Victoria near my parents' home the day before the crash. Every piece of evidence was a nail in Victoria's coffin. Finally, Vasquez asked, "Miss Lawson, when did you learn the truth about who killed your parents?" "The night Adrian Blackwell caught me hacking his private server. He showed me everything. His father's crimes, his own investigation, and the fact that he'd been trying to bring Victoria to justice for 2 years. What did you do with that information?" "I partnered with him. We worked together to expose Victoria's network and prevent more murders." "Thank you, Miss Lawson." Vasquez turned to the defense table. "Your witness, Mr. Thornton." Thornton approached like a shark scenting blood. "Miss Lawson, you admitted to being Phantom, correct?" "Yes." "An anonymous hacker who destroyed multiple corporate projects?" "I destroyed projects built on stolen research and murder. But you destroyed them nonetheless. Caused billions in damages. Cost thousands of people their jobs." He paced in front of the jury. "Isn't it true that you're a domestic terrorist who's repackaged herself as a victim?" Objection. Vasquez was on her feet. Argumentative and inflammatory. Sustained. "Rephrase, Mr. Thornton." "Miss Lawson, how many projects did Phantom destroy?" 7. "And how many of those 7 were later proven to involve criminal activity?" I met his eyes. "All 7. Convenient." His smile was sharp. "Or perhaps you destroyed innocent projects and then manufactured evidence to justify your crimes?" "I didn't manufacture anything. The FBI verified. The FBI verified evidence you provided. Evidence that conveniently implicated my client while exonerating your current employer and romantic partner." He pulled up a photo of Adrian and me leaving the hospital together. "Isn't it true that you're engaged to Adrian Blackwell?" "We're in a relationship, yes." "A relationship that began when?" "While you were his employee. His maid." "Our relationship timeline isn't relevant." "It's absolutely relevant." Thornton's voice rose. "You've concocted an elaborate story to cover your own crimes. You seduced Adrian Blackwell. You gained access to his company. And now you're testifying against the one person who could expose your true nature, a vindictive hacker who destroys for profit." "That's a lie." My voice was quiet but hard. "Everything I've said is verifiable. Everything I did is documented. And nothing justifies what Victoria Chin did to my family. Except you admit you initially believed Adrian Blackwell was responsible for your parents' deaths. You took a job in his home intending to destroy him. Who's to say you're not still playing that game? That this entire testimony isn't designed to eliminate Ms. Chin as your competition for control of Blackwell Technologies." I leaned forward, and I saw Thornton realize he'd pushed too far. "Mr. Thornton, Victoria Chin murdered 17 people over a decade. She tried to have me and my 12-year-old brother killed. She radicalized her 19-year-old niece into attempting murder. She's currently planning a prison break to continue her killing spree." I pulled out my phone, held it up. "This is a letter she sent to Sarah Chin 2 weeks ago, detailing exactly how she'd murder the families of every juror in this courtroom if she didn't get acquitted. Would you like me to read it?" The courtroom went silent. Thornton's face went pale. No further questions." I looked at Victoria. She was staring at me with pure hatred, but underneath it I saw fear. She knew she'd lost. Vasquez stood before the jury, projecting confidence and righteous anger. "Ladies and gentlemen, this case is about a woman who decided she was above the law, who killed 17 people to build an empire, who murdered parents and left children orphaned, who manipulated her own niece into violence. The defense wants you to believe Bennett Lawson is some kind of criminal mastermind. But the evidence shows something different. A young woman who lost everything to Victoria Chen's greed and who had the courage to stand up and fight back. Victoria Chen thought she was untouchable, that her wealth, her connections, her intelligence would protect her. She was wrong." Vasquez turned to Victoria. "You face 17 counts of conspiracy to commit murder, multiple counts of corporate espionage, attempted prison break, conspiracy to commit terrorism. The evidence is overwhelming. The witnesses are credible. The documentation is irrefutable. Find her guilty." Not for Bennett Lawson. Not for Adrian Blackwell. But for the 17 people who can't speak for themselves. For justice. For the rule of law. She sat down. Thornton's closing was desperate, all conspiracy theories and character assassination. But I could see it in the jury's faces. He'd already lost them. The judge gave instructions. The jury filed out. And we waited. Has the jury reached a verdict? We have, Your Honor. My hand found Adrian's. Squeezed tight. On the count of conspiracy to commit the murder of Dr. Richard Lawson, how do you find? Guilty. On the count of conspiracy to commit the murder of Dr. Sarah Lawson, how do you find? Guilty. 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 17 times, the jury foreman said that word. 17 counts of conspiracy to commit murder. All guilty. Victoria's face remained frozen, but I saw her hands shaking. On the additional charges of corporate espionage, attempted prison break, and conspiracy to commit terrorism, how do you find? Guilty on all counts. The courtroom erupted. Press scrambling. Jamie cheering. Adrian's mother crying. The judge gavelled for order. Ms. Chin, you will be remanded to federal custody pending sentencing. Given the severity and number of convictions, I'm recommending life imprisonment without possibility of parole. Victoria stood and, for the first time, looked directly at me. This isn't over, she mouthed. Yes, I mouthed back. It is. They led her away in chains. The press swarmed us, but Adrian's security team kept them back. Jamie hugged me so tight my wounded shoulder protested, but I didn't care. You did it, he whispered. You got her. We got her, I corrected. All of us. Agent Webb approached, looking relieved. Hell of a testimony, Miss Lawson. Clean, credible, devastating. Victoria's lawyers are already talking about appeals, but with 17 murder convictions, she's never seeing daylight again. What about Sarah? I asked. Plea deal. Psychiatric treatment, probation, community service. She was a victim too, in her own way. The DA agreed. Good. I meant it. Sarah Chin had been a weapon Victoria wielded. She deserved a chance to become something else. Adrian's hand was warm in mine as we walked to the car. Press shouting questions, cameras flashing, the whole circus of justice served. It's really over, I said in the car, still not quite believing it. The trial is over. Adrian kissed my temple. But we still have a company to run. An AI framework to launch. A future to build. And a wedding to plan, his mother added from the front seat, making us both jump. What? You think I didn't notice the way you two look at each other? I'm old, not blind. Jamie giggled. Can I be best man? You're 12, I protested. So? I'm mature for my age. Almost dying makes you grow up fast. I looked at my brother, alive, healthy, laughing, and felt tears prick my eyes. Yeah, I said softly. Yeah, you can be best man. Adrian pulled me close, and I let myself feel it, the weight of 3 years of grief finally lifting. We'd won. Victoria was going to prison forever. My parents' murders were avenged. Jamie was safe. The company was ours to build into something good. And somehow, impossibly, I'd found love in the wreckage. Ready to go home? Adrian asked. I thought about the Sonoma estate, our lab full of code and dreams, the quantum server running Phoenix protocols. Yeah, I said. Let's go home. 6 months later, Phoenix AI launch event, San Francisco. The auditorium held 3,000 people. Tech journalists. Industry leaders. Investors. Government officials. Every major player in the AI world had come to see what Bennett Lawson and Adrian Blackwell had built. I stood backstage, smoothing down the navy dress I'd chosen for today, and tried not to throw up. You're going to be brilliant, Adrian said, appearing beside me with a bottle of water. Just like you always are. I'm going to pass out in front of 3,000 people and become a viral meme. Then you'll be a brilliant viral meme. He kissed my cheek. Bennett, we've tested Phoenix 100 times. It's revolutionary. World-changing. And it's about to prove that AI can be powerful without being dangerous. Ethical without being weak. No pressure then. None at all. His smile was warm, genuine. Though I should mention, my mother is in the front row with Jamie, and they're both wearing matching Team Phantom t-shirts that I definitely didn't approve. Oh God. But I was laughing now. Your mother is a menace. She's excited. She's getting a daughter-in-law and a revolutionary AI framework in the same year. It's basically Christmas for her. We're not married yet. Give me 2 months. Adrian pulled out his phone, showed me calendar blocked off in red, Blackwell Lawson wedding. I've already booked the venue. Sonoma Estate. Sunset ceremony. Small gathering, just family and close friends. You're very presumptuous, Mr. Blackwell. I'm very in love, Miss Lawson. He pulled me close, careful of my still healing shoulder. And very impatient to make this official. Before I could respond, a stagehand appeared. 5 minutes, Miss Lawson. This was it. At the Phoenix launch, main stage. The lights were blinding. 3,000 faces stared up at me. Cameras broadcast live to millions more online. I took a breath and began. My name is Bennett Lawson. Most of you know me as Phantom, the anonymous AI architect who spent 3 years destroying corporate AI projects. I paused, let that sink in. I'm here today to tell you why I destroyed them. And what I've built to replace them. 3 years ago, my parents were murdered by people who wanted to steal their research. Who saw innovation as something to exploit rather than celebrate. Who built empires on stolen ideas and broken families. The audience was silent. Rapt. I became Phantom because I was angry. Grieving. Desperate for justice in a world that seemed to reward theft and punish brilliance. I destroyed projects because they were built on blood and lies. Because every successful launch represented a murdered scientist. A stolen dream. A family like mine shattered. I pulled up the first slide. But destruction without creation is just revenge. And revenge doesn't build a better future. The screen showed Phoenix's architecture. Elegant. Complex. Beautiful. This is Phoenix. The first AI framework with ethical constraints built into its core code. It cannot be weaponized. Cannot conduct surveillance without explicit consent. Cannot deceive users. Cannot be programmed to harm. Murmurs rippled through the crowd. Skepticism. Interest. Disbelief. I know what you're thinking. AI without those capabilities is useless. Weak. Commercially unviable. But you're wrong. Phoenix is more powerful than any framework currently on the market. It just uses that power responsibly. I launched the demo. Phoenix appeared on screens throughout the auditorium. Not as text, but as a presence. Responsive. Intuitive. Brilliant. Phoenix analyzed global climate data and proposed solutions. The AI generated a comprehensive report in seconds. Detailed. Nuanced. Innovative. Phoenix optimized supply chain logistics for humanitarian aid delivery. Routes appeared. Efficiency calculations. Real-time adjustments for weather and political situations. Phoenix, review this medical diagnosis for accuracy. A diagnosis appeared on screen. Phoenix highlighted 3 potential errors, suggested additional tests, provided statistical confidence levels. The audience was leaning forward now. Phones out, recording everything. Phoenix can do everything current AI does. Medical diagnosis, financial analysis, climate modeling, logistics optimization, but it does it transparently. Every decision is auditable. Every suggestion includes confidence levels and reasoning. Users always know why Phoenix recommends what it recommends. I looked out at the crowd. At journalists frantically typing. At competitors looking worried. At Adrian in the front row, pride written across his face. My parents believe technology should serve humanity, not exploit it. Phoenix is that belief made real. It's proof that we can build powerful AI without sacrificing our values. That progress doesn't require victims. The screen changed. Photos of the 17 scientists Victoria had killed, including my parents. These people died because someone decided profit mattered more than lives. Phoenix exists to make sure their deaths meant something. To build the future they deserve to see. I paused, feeling the weight of the moment. Phoenix launches publicly next month. Free for academic and nonprofit use. licensed for commercial applications with strict ethical guidelines. We're partnering with MIT, Stanford, and Oxford to create open-source standards for ethical AI development. The audience erupted in applause. Standing ovation. Cameras flashing. Victoria Chen tried to kill innovation by stealing it. We're going to save innovation by sharing it. Thank you. At the post-launch press conference, the questions came rapid fire. Miss Lawson, some critics say Phoenix is too restrictive. That innovation requires freedom from ethical constraints. Those critics built their empires on stolen research and dead scientists. I'm comfortable disagreeing with them. Mr. Blackwell, how does Blackwell Technologies benefit from open sourcing Phoenix? Adrian leaned into his microphone. We benefit by living in a world where AI doesn't eventually destroy us. Sometimes the best investment is in not being killed by your own technology. Laughter rippled through the press corps. Miss Lawson, rumors say you and Mr. Blackwell are engaged. Personal questions aren't, I started. Yes, Adrian interrupted, reaching for my hand. We're engaged. And yes, before you ask, I proposed to a woman who initially took a job in my house to investigate me for murder. It's been a very interesting relationship. More laughter. I elbowed him, but I was smiling. One more question, the moderator said. A young reporter in the back raised her hand. Miss Lawson, 3 years ago, you were a 19-year-old orphan with nothing. Now you're CTO of a major tech company, engaged to a billionaire, and launching revolutionary AI. What would you say to other young people facing impossible odds? I thought about that night in Adrian's office. Finding my parents' files. Learning the truth. Making the choice to fight back instead of running. I'd say impossible odds are just odds that require creative solutions. I'd say grief can be fuel if you channel it correctly. And I'd say, I looked at Adrian, at Jamie grinning in the front row, at the 3,000 people who'd come to see what we'd built from ashes. The future belongs to people stubborn enough to fight for it. The room erupted in applause again. That evening in Sonoma Estate. That was incredible, Jamie said, sprawled across the living room couch with his laptop. You broke the internet. Phoenix is trending #1 globally. The stock market is going crazy. MIT is calling it the biggest breakthrough in AI ethics ever. Jamie, you're supposed to be doing homework. I am. I'm doing a computer science project on quantum AI frameworks. This is homework. Adrian appeared with champagne, handed me a glass. To Phoenix. To us. To the future. To surviving long enough to see it, I countered, clinking glasses. We settled on the couch, Jamie between us, watching news coverage of the launch. Every channel. Every feed. Phoenix was everywhere. You know what's funny? Jamie said. A year ago, we were sleeping in hospital chairs wondering if I'd survive. Now we're watching you change the world on live TV. Not just me. All of us. I ruffled his hair. You survived cancer. Adrian exposed his father's crimes. We all fought. We all won. Speaking of winning, Adrian pulled out his phone. Agent Webb texted. Victoria's appeal was denied. She's being transferred to maximum security in Colorado. No chance of parole. Ever. Good. I meant it. Victoria Chen would spend the rest of her life in prison. Justice, finally, completely served. My phone buzzed. I glanced at it, and the world tilted. Dr. Patricia Chen, St. Francis Medical, Miss Lawson, we have your blood work results from last week's physical. Please call to discuss. Non-urgent, but important. I'd been feeling off lately. Nauseous in the mornings. Exhausted despite sleeping well. I'd assumed it was stress from the launch. But now, staring at that text, I knew. Bennett. Adrian's voice was concerned. What's wrong? I need to make a call. Excuse me. I stepped onto the terrace, hands shaking as I dialed. Miss Lawson, thank you for calling back so quickly. Dr. Chen, what's going on? The blood work. Nothing to worry about. Actually, congratulations are in order. You're pregnant. About 8 weeks. The world stopped. What? Pregnant. The nausea, the fatigue, all normal first trimester symptoms. You'll want to schedule a prenatal appointment soon, but everything looks healthy. But are you sure? Quite sure. Congratulations, Miss Lawson. Or should I say, congratulations to both of you. I hung up in a daze. Walked back inside, where Adrian and Jamie were laughing at some meme about Phoenix. Adrian, can I talk to you? Alone. His smile faded. What's wrong? Nothing's wrong. Just, come with me. Bennett, you're scaring me. What did the doctor say? I took his hands, looked into those ice blue eyes that had become home. I'm pregnant. Silence. Complete, absolute silence. Then, there's a baby. Yes. 8 weeks. Due in about 7 months. Adrian sat down slowly, like his legs wouldn't hold him. We're having a baby. Apparently Phoenix launch week was the perfect time for life-changing medical news. I sat beside him. I know this is fast. We're not even married yet. The company is still stabilizing. If you need time to process, I'm going to be a father. His voice was full of wonder. We're going to have a child. Yes, but... He kissed me. Deep and long and full of joy. Bennett Lawson, I love you. I love this baby. I love the absolutely chaotic life we've built together. He pulled back, laughing. A year ago, I was a bitter recluse who couldn't trust anyone. Now I'm engaged to the most brilliant woman alive, launching revolutionary AI, and apparently becoming a father. How is this my life? I think we broke reality somewhere along the way. Good. Reality was boring. He placed his hand on my still flat stomach. Hey, little Phoenix. Your mom and I are going to try very hard not to screw you up. No promises, but we'll try. I laughed through tears. We're naming the baby Phoenix? Hell no. But the codename is perfect until we think of something better. Jamie appeared in the doorway. Are you two okay? You left in the middle of, he saw our faces. What happened? Adrian and I looked at each other, then at Jamie. You're going to be an uncle, I said. Jamie's eyes went wide. Then he screamed, actually screamed, and ran at us, tackling us both into a hug. I'm going to be an uncle. This is the best day ever. Jamie, careful, Bennett's pregnant. I know, that's why it's the best day ever. He pulled back, grinning. Can we tell everyone? Can we post it? Can we keep it quiet for a few weeks until we're past the first trimester? I countered. Ugh, fine. But after that, I'm telling everyone. He ran out, presumably to text every person he'd ever met despite my request for secrecy. Adrian pulled me close again. We're really doing this. Building a company. Getting married. Having a baby. Creating a future. Terrifying, isn't it? Terrifying, he agreed. Also perfect. We stood there as the sun set over the vineyard, holding each other, and I thought about the journey. From maid to CTO. From enemy to partner to lover. From orphan to family. From revenge to justice to love. Phoenix was flying. Victoria was imprisoned. Jamie was healthy. And a new life was growing inside me, a future made real. I love you, I whispered. I love you too, Adrian said. Both of you. And for the first time in 3 years, I let myself believe it. Everything was going to be okay. Not perfect. Not easy. But okay. And okay was enough.